Headline news most affecting Chilliwack this week. A new study shows reports of missing seniors may be underreported. Mark Strahl reappointed Chief Opposition Whip, but all's not well in Toryland. In the time of cord cutting, Shaw is increasing rates and Chilliwack vying for a world record? Well, thanks for watching. We're committed to providing local news and news that impacts our local audience from Harrison to Garrison, Greendale to Hope, and everywhere in between, including Fairfield Island, Little Mountain, Promontory, the Eastern Hillsides, Chilliwack Mountain, Yarrow, and Cultus Lake. In addition to news, sports, and weather, we will have our scheduled interviews with Barry Penner and his Penner Politburo segment with guest Mark Strahl, the MP for Chilliwack-Hope. As well, Deborah Green from Maritime Travel. She's back with her travel segment and her guest, Shelley Picard. All right, Chilliwack, let's get started. 2019 has been a tragic year for seniors with dementia in the lower mainland of BC, with 6 dead or missing to date in the area. That's the dire warning from Sam No. He is the co-founder of BC Silver Alert. No said, "We know that from experience, we're not capturing all of the incidents where people with dementia, autism, cognitive issues, or memory deficits go missing, and we feel that this particular picture should be alarming." But 2019 has been extreme, and at the time of this writing, there's been another missing person, this one in Maple Ridge, bringing the possible total to 7 people. Chilliwack has been particularly hit hard, with 2 seniors going missing, both sadly found deceased. And that was back in the summer. That was Grace Baranek and John Pop. On December the 6th, 1989, a disturbed young man, Marc Lepine, burst into a class at Montreal's L'École Polytechnique armed with an automatic weapon. He murdered 13 women, and Canada was never the same. On Friday, UFV, along with the Ann Davis Transition Society, are hosting 2 annual vigils. The first at noon at the UFV Abbotsford campus and at 5 p.m. at Five Corners, Chilliwack. Federal Conservative leader Andrew Scheer announced the appointment of MP Mark Strahl. In addition to his primary responsibilities as Member of Parliament for Chilliwack-Hope, he's been reappointed Chief Opposition Whip. But not everyone was happy with Scheer's appointments. Optics are everything in politics. And among other subjects, Abbotsford MP Ed Fast was at one time the former Trade Minister under Prime Minister Stephen Harper, a Conservative. He was made an offer by Andrew Scheer and flatly turned it down, citing that Scheer should be surrounding himself with Tory supporters. An interesting way of saying, or shall we say, not saying, he wasn't interested. Death, taxes, and your bills going up for the new year. Starting January 1st, Shaw is increasing the rate pricing for select residential internet, TV, and phone customers. The Calgary-based telecom company says that customers should have already had their advance notification of the rate change through their monthly bill. Those customers who have signed up for internet and the internet and TV 2-year value plan with a price guarantee, you won't get a rate increase. Shaw Telecom doesn't explicitly say how much prices will increase by. Chilliwack-Hope, Boston Bar, and Agassiz RCMP will be having their 11th annual Stuff the Cruiser events either this Saturday the 7th or Sunday December the 8th at all the Save on Food locations. Join up with the officers to help stuff the police cruiser with non-perishable food items and cash donations in support of community food banks and the Salvation Army. 11 rainbow crosswalks have been painted in Chilliwack this year, with another 5 planned. The 16 in total led supporters to petition the Guinness World Book of Records for a new category, the city with the most rainbow crosswalks. The Facebook page Chilliwack Citizens for Change have acknowledged the petition. Organizers don't know who started the online push. The crosswalks sprang up on school and private property after the city refused to allow a rainbow crosswalk on Mill Street downtown. Back in August, everyone knew that Conehead's ice cream stand was going to close on the Labor Day weekend. It had been a fixture since Hank Jones and his wife saw the original stand at the original location. That was Vetter Road in 1991. And with a little prodding from his wife, Hank bought the stand in '94 and moved it to its current location. It was just outside the village of Cultus Lake. But heart problems forced Hank to retire, and it was the end of the ice cream. Lori Proskin posted a demolition photo to the Facebook page Cultus Lake Community Association. And there are no plans for anyone to resurrect Coneheads and move it to another location. Dean Work, Chris Gadsden, and the others from the Fraser Valley Salmon Society are raising alarm bells over this summer's rock slide that blocked the Fraser River at Big Bar. The slide interfered with salmon spawning runs, and at first there was a hectic pace for workers to transport fish from one side of the slide to the other. The work was literally done by hand and into helicopters, and it may not be enough. Scientists are fearing the worst-case scenario from the slide. Some Fraser River salmon populations could be completely wiped out. That would include early Stewart sockeye in the Mid-Fraser and Upper Fraser Spring 1.3 Chinook. Work, the president of the Fraser Valley Salmon Society, agreed with estimates of at least $10 million might be needed to clear the blockage on the Fraser at Big Bar, and that's not far from Lillooet. If conservation methods can't do the job, explosives may have to blast the rock and used to be the ultimate solution. In 2013, the Rotary Clubs of Chilliwack partnered with the City of Chilliwack for what has now become an annual tradition, the Rotary Christmas Parade, being held the first Saturday of December. So at 5:30 this Saturday, December the 7th, the parade starts and ends on Spadina in front of the Evergreen Hall. BC Transit is providing free bus service on all Chilliwack bus routes starting at 3 and rolling until 10 p.m. That's parade day, and that's just to make it easy for everyone to attend the parade and not have to worry about parking and traffic. But if you can't make it to the parade, it will be streamed live on chillTV on our website and the YouTube channel. Your host will be Katie McKay, the operator of What's On Chilliwack Magazine and the owner of Connect Now Business Network, and yours truly. And when we return, Barry Penner and his interview with Mark Strahl.
Welcome back to chillTV News of the Week and Penner's Politburo. Hi, Mark. It seems like only 7 weeks ago that you and I were sitting in about this position during the middle of the federal election campaign, actually when it was nearing its conclusion. And congratulations on your re-election.
Well, thank you very much.
This was the third time you've been elected. Does it feel any differently the third time around?
Well, I think every election is different. The first time is obviously a big thrill, a unique new experience, and at that time it was a majority conservative government, which obviously was exciting as well for those of us that have been working towards that for a long time. Everyone is special, absolutely, and everyone is unique. Every campaign takes on a life of its own. So if you ever got elected and didn't feel the thrill of the campaign and the thrill of being elected by your peers in the community again, it's time to retire. So it's still overwhelming, and the level of support was fantastic, and we feel really good about the campaign we ran.
Now, a funny thing happened on the way to the polling booths across Canada. The Conservative Party, of which you're a member, ended up with the most votes, with 34.4% of the votes cast, but not the most seats in Parliament. The Federal Liberal Party and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau are still in office, although they ended up with just 33.1% of the vote. And although they did win the most seats at 157 seats, that's about 13 short of a majority, I think, according to my calculations. Nevertheless, it seems they were able to find, or will be able to find, enough votes from some of the opposition parties, such as the diminished federal NDP, to carry on, at least for now. How long do you think this government will last?
Well, I think you've accurately described how it can go. When you're that close, when you're 157 seats, you don't have to come to a formal agreement like the John Horgan and the NDP have with the Greens here in BC. You can kind of pick your way through your legislative agenda and hope to find partners all the way along. I think because on a case-by-case basis, on bill by bill, budget by budget, you probably, I think that's probably their goal, is to make that happen. Now, the Prime Minister might choose to trigger an election at the time of his own choosing in a minority parliament. I wouldn't suspect he'll feel bound by the 4-year fixed election date. So it could go the distance. It could be 6 months. You never know what can happen. We know there is rumors of an SNC-Lavalin RCMP investigation. There's events can come up that change the political landscape in a heartbeat. So you always now, though, have to be ready for an election at any time. So that puts a lot of stress on your organization and on you personally. But I don't think, given, as you said, the diminished NDP, how they got routed in the election.
They lost about, what, 19 seats, I think? Yeah,
well, they got cleaned out in Quebec. They have 1 seat left there after the Orange crush back in the Jack Layton 2011 election. They're down to 1 seat. I believe they have 25 now. So yeah, they lost a considerable portion. They have no money, so they're not going to be in any mood to go quickly. The Bloc Québécois has surged back, and I don't think they can expect to do better either. So they'll not be in a rush to head back to the polls either. So it kind of sets the table for relative stability for the time being.
So we'll see how long they last. Now, some of the pundits are wondering about how long Andrew Scheer, your party leader, will last. There's been some commentary lately about, the disappointing to some outcome of the election, given that Justin Trudeau was caught up in controversy such as the blackface surprise, or surprises, plural, broken promises about balancing the budget, because I still remember his promise that they'd balance it after 4 years.
Right.
And of course, you already alluded to it, the attempted interference in an ongoing corruption prosecution. During the election, we saw some surprises for Mr. Scheer himself. There was this discovery about the American citizenship, dual citizenship issue. I think that was a difficult one in the campaign, and some questions about his previous time as working in an insurance office. Is Mr. Scheer going to be able to make it?
Well, I think yes, he can. I think certainly the narrative that the media has been building since the election has been a negative one. We shouldn't pretend otherwise, and we are disappointed. We don't go into elections to finish second. It's kind of like Team Canada doesn't play in hockey tournaments to win the silver medal, and Conservatives are very much the same. We have it built right into our party constitution that if a leader does not win, is not the Prime Minister at the end of an election, he faces an automatic review at our convention. So that will happen in April. We have a convention coming up, and the membership will decide Mr. Scheer's fate. I think when you look back on it dispassionately, you can see that we made enormous gains across the country. We picked up we won, I think it was over 22 more seats than in 2011, 600,000 more votes.
And the share of the popular vote went up too.
Yes, absolutely. As you said, 4% across the country. And in British Columbia, I look at this province where we did very well. We picked up an additional 7 seats, 4 of them women, many of them in suburban and urban areas, things that we need to do across the country if we're going to be successful in breaking through and winning government. So we have been very honest about that. Andrew Scheer has asked former Conservative Cabinet Minister John Baird to conduct an external review to see where we went wrong. Mr. Scheer has already made significant changes to his staff and the campaign structure and team. So we're going to learn the lessons from this one. This was stage 1, knocking Justin Trudeau down to a minority, and we'll get him the next time around.
Now you're going back to Ottawa soon. There'll be a short session prior to Christmas. And I think you were saying to me off camera, the first order of business is picking a new speaker.
Yeah, every parliament elects its own speaker, and so I believe the current speaker, Jeff Regan, is offering again, but there are also several other Liberals that were not selected for cabinet. It's kind of seen as another opportunity to have some influence over the parliament. So there are several Liberals. I know there are a couple of Conservatives that have put their names forward. You mentioned off camera as well, Miss May has mused about it this
now,
time.
Former leader, or is she still leader of the Green Party?
Well, she has resigned as the leader, but she is still acting, I believe, as perhaps their House leader. She's taking, so there's an interim leader, but she's still playing a major role there. Of course, there's 3 MPs, so everyone in a party of 3 has a major role, but she is, she's mused about being the speaker. I don't think it's there for her this time around, but you never know. It's a secret ballot and a preferential one, so anything can happen.
All right, and anything else that you see on the agenda? What are your priorities going back into the House that you're taking with you from the constituents here?
Well, I think locally we heard a lot of concerns about affordability and as that pertains to housing, homelessness, the things that are changing in this area. Those will be issues that I'll be taking forward. Things like as well improving our infrastructure locally. Highway 1 was something I heard about again and again on the campaign trail. So that's the sort of message that I'll be taking back, that we need to have those kind of major infrastructure investments here for our changing community. I think nationally, we're going to be talking a lot about national unity. We've seen under Justin Trudeau a very divided country, a resurgent Bloc Québécois that's come from up from the ashes to have significant influence in Quebec. The Liberals were shut out in Saskatchewan, shut out in Alberta. They lost seats in British Columbia. They lost seats really all over the country. They did hold in seat-rich Ontario and Quebec, which gave them this majority. But there are real tensions in the country right now, and real, I think, troubling noises coming out of the West especially. People are not happy with how they were kind of bullied and used as a prop during the election to win votes elsewhere. And so we're going to have a big job to do to try to keep the country united, and we're up to that task. That's something that I think the Conservative Party will be focused on in this session.
Well, thank you very much. Try and stay warm in Ottawa. Good luck with that. And if I don't see you again before Christmas, on behalf of everyone here at chillTV, Merry Christmas to you and your family. I think you've certainly earned some downtime after the election campaign. I know how draining that can be. So enjoy the festive season.
Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, and to our viewers as well.
Trinity Western Athletics now off for their Christmas break. The Spartans now prepare for the indoor track and field season. That begins with the Sled Dog Open in Saskatoon, January 10th and 11th. The Spartans men's and women's basketball teams next play in 2020, hosting Saskatchewan January 3rd and 4th. That's at the Langley Events Center. Meanwhile, the UFV Cascades basketball team, they're on their Christmas break, returning for a January 3rd and 4th doubleheader at home against the UBC Thunderbirds. A reminder to join the Chilliwack Chiefs at the Chilliwack Coliseum Friday, December 13th, 7 o'clock for the annual toque, mitten, scarf, and teddy bear toss in support of Chilliwack Community Services Christmas Sharing Program. That's presented by the Greater Vancouver Power Sports. And that's featuring a performance from Sardis Drumline. Fans are encouraged to bring toques, mittens, scarves, and of course the stuffed animals to the game. Now, when the Chiefs score their first goal, everyone gets to toss their items onto the ice, and please make sure that the items are bagged and to keep the moisture out, and makes it easier to pick up for those playing on the surface. And in local football, GW Graham Grizzlies lost their semi-final game under the dome at BC Place by just 1 point to Langley Secondary. The Chilliwack Giants lost in a very tense back-and-forth provincial title game to the White Rock Titans. And finally, this weekend, it's the Border Bowl game, Exhibition Stadium in Chilliwack between BC and Alberta. Kickoff at 12 noon on Saturday. And now Deborah Green of Maritime Travel and her travel segment.
This week I've brought in a special guest to talk all about her recent trip to French Polynesia. Let me introduce you to Shelley Picard. Now, I've known and worked with Shelley for over 11 years and have not only learned much from her, but have been inspired in my own travels by what she has done. Shelley has not only been creating the perfect holidays for clients for the last 25 years, she has also personally escorted an endless number of clients on perfect holidays. So Shelley, before we talk about your most recent adventure, tell us a little bit about escorting and why you've done it and why you do it.
Well, mostly when I started out in the industry, I found that people wanted to experiment. There was a lot of all-inclusives, a lot of cruises, but people wanted to step out. They wanted to try new places, exotic places, but were afraid to go on their own. And so what I did is I did a lot of research, and I started looking, and I realized that as I started to open groups, people would book in because they felt comfortable. They felt safe, they felt cared for. They meet the people, they get to know the people, and then when it comes to a second group, they go, oh, I know that person, oh, they're going, oh, I want to go too. And then those groups would grow, and they would engage with new people, and those new people will find comfort. And I think that they just feel it's a safe, comfortable way, and the value is definitely built in there as well.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of feedback from a lot of your clients that have traveled with you, and they come back over and over and over again. Yeah. So this most recent trip, what appealed to you about French Polynesia?
Well, I happened to get a little smidgen of it about 5 years ago when I went through on a cruise. And I just loved it. There was a calmness, a stillness, and yet a great beauty about the area. And so I thought, how am I going to get to go back? Now, French Polynesia is very expensive. It's an expensive place, And then I discovered Paul Gauguin Cruises. And when I started again to do the research of what it offered and what it gave us and the exposure that it gave us around the islands, I found that that would be the best opportunity for us to get in and really enjoy. So we didn't just get French Polynesia, we got the Cook Islands as well. And for me, that was very unique because two very different cultures and yet very close together and married in so many ways. And I fell in love with the whole concept of it.
So you chose to do this trip with Paul Gauguin, as you mentioned. So what was it about them? What do they offer that was appealing for you?
Well, I've had, over 60 cruises in my career. This was a very unique cruise, a small ship cruise. So there were only 330 passengers on the vessel. In fact, it wasn't even quite full. The staff are so gracious and warm and funny. Their pricing is all-inclusive. Now, I mean all-inclusive. That is all beverages on board, all the gratuities on board. It was all-inclusive. The only thing you pay additional for is the shore excursions. The flights are included. Now, they're from Los Angeles, but we got very good connections out of Vancouver. And so it made the whole trip, even though it was in US dollars, it made the whole trip a very high value because of the fact that it was all-inclusive. Once we were there, there was no necessity to really purchase anything else except for black pearls, of course.
Because it can be very expensive in there just to eat and transport everything,
Absolutely. Yeah. Just to sit down for a meal is over $80 per person US. Yeah.
So you said the flights were included. So you flew on Air Tahiti Nui, right?
We did.
Yeah. How was I've never flown on them. I like hearing about different airlines and what they're like service-wise. So what were they like?
Absolutely. It was the 787 Dreamliner. These are new planes, comfortable planes. The visual aboard the plane, you were in Tahiti already. The colors were all Tahitian. The staff was all dressed that way. Now, we paid the upgrade into their what they call premium economy. And what that gives is it gives a wider seat, a better recline because it's an overnight flight, and it gives you additional legroom, which I, as a tall person, very much appreciated. Some of my people who were in economy said that they never once felt crowded or uncomfortable. The service on board was gracious. The amenities on board were good. The food was actually quite good. So overall, they were on time. It was just an excellent experience for us.
I always look to see if there's premium economy available when I'm flying because it's such a nice upgrade without the huge business class cost, right?
Well, me as well, yeah.
So you had a very extensive itinerary. Was it 10 nights?
It was 11 nights.
11 nights.
Yep.
So what were some of the highlights?
Well, we did in the Cook Islands, Atutaki. Atutaki is one of the most incredible things because it isn't an island, although it's become like one. It is an atoll, so it's a buildup of coral from the ocean that has, over the years, as the coral has broken down, created sand and growth. And so everywhere on there has the most beautiful beach. It is so quiet and so undeveloped. It gave you a feeling that you were at the edge of the world, and it was really, really wonderful. Every island within Tahiti had its own flavor, but I think everyone within the group would agree with me in saying that Moorea had the most impact. It just was very different from the other islands in, again, that it wasn't over-touristed, it wasn't built up as much. It's not as popular as Bora Bora or Papeete. And so what's beautiful there is the people are much more relaxed and comfortable, and we all just got off and we walked everywhere there. It worked out really nicely.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know French Polynesia is on my bucket list. One day I will get there.
Yeah.
A lot of my bucket list items come from trips that you've done and hearing about you talk about them when you get back. So that's great. Now you have more trips coming up in the coming years. Tell us a little bit about some of your other escorted group departures you have going.
Well, yeah, it's going to be busy 2 years. In May of next year, I have a group going to Israel. So this is a full tour of the country I'm very excited about, and my people are very excited about. And then next summer, we have an exclusive group aboard the Azamara Journey doing a Greek intensive cruise. So this is small islands. This is a small ship again, not 330 passengers like I did, but 680 passengers. Still very small in comparison to the other ships that are out there. Again, this one isn't inclusive. So on this one, again, our beverages and our gratuities are included in the fare. So really a wonderful experience. It is that next level 5-star, 5+ star. In the fall, it's in a celebration of my 65th birthday, actually. We're going on a river cruise from Budapest to Bucharest. And I've added on in Vienna and Český Krumlov, which is this idyllic.
Oh, I've been there. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Český Krumlov is one of the most beautiful places. I love
Absolutely,
it.
it's
Love
this
it.
little medieval village in the
it's
mountains. So
stunning.
we're gonna go in there. Then in January of 21, I have a cruise with Celebrity going down to Antarctica. Now we're not going to actually get foot on the continent, but we will have a chance to explore 4 different spots and to see things that we wouldn't see in any other destination. And we have a cruise, hopefully a river cruise in the summer that year that Deb is looking to take, and that'll be a Russia river cruise. I think it'll be really interesting to see that Russian sociological makeup, to see what it's like there now. And then in the fall of that year, well, it's actually September.
We're 2021 now,
This
right?
is
We're talking?
2021.
Yeah.
It's a 17-day tour of Italy. And this is an all-land tour, custom designed, with absolutely fabulous pricing.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really excited.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thanks for coming in. If you are interested in anything we've talked about today or any other travel information, give us a call at Maritime Travel at 604-746-4041, or you can always reach me via email at dgreen@maritimetravel.ca.
chillTV weather, now that the cold snap is over, it's back to what we're used to, and that's plenty of rain and mild temperatures and highs around 7. We'd like to thank our guests this week, Barry Penner and Mark Strahl, MP for Chilliwack-Hope, and Debora Green of Maritime Travel and her travel segment with her guest, Shelley Picard. If you'd like to share the spotlight, even if you've never been on camera before, send us a note to news@chilltv.ca with your CV, and if you have it, links to your video. And if there's something in Chilliwack in the Eastern Fraser Valley you feel we should be reporting on, again, send us an email to the same address, news@chilltv.ca. That's the news this week. I'm Don Lehn.